Hello, my name is Aiden Riley and I'm the Education and Endorsement Officer here at CIMSPA. In today's how-to video guide, I'm going to walk you through how to map your education product to CIMSPA professional standards. This is one of the most important parts of the endorsement process, and it's also where a lot of submissions fall short. So I'll break it down clearly, show you what good looks like, and highlight the common mistakes so you can avoid your education product being referred. So first things first, what is mapping? At its core, mapping is the process of aligning your education product to a CIMSPA professional standard. In simple terms, you're taking your course content and showing exactly how it meets the requirements set out in the professional standard. Now, it's important to understand that the level of mapping required depends on the type of education product. So for degree programs and professional qualifications, they're expected to fully align to the professional standard. That means 100% mapping across all topic areas and competency statements. For CPD products, the requirement is to partially align to a professional standard. So the course just needs to meet at least one topic area across that professional standard. However, if you want your CPD product to support professional recognition for an individual and progression to the next stage of professional status, you would need to fully align to the population, environment, or technical specialism standard in question. For information on this, please visit the CIMSPA website, and just under where it says joining us, there's information there on the membership for individuals page. But in all cases and across all education product types, the stronger and more complete your mapping is, the better your submission will be. So we've explained what mapping is, but what is a professional standard and why does it matter? So a professional standard sets out the knowledge and skills required for a specific role or specialism within the sports and physical activity sector. It defines what a competent professional should know and be able to do. The reason this is important is because your education product needs to align to these standards to ensure it's relevant, industry recognised, and supports professional development. Ultimately, the standard is the benchmark, and your mapping is how you demonstrate that your course meets that benchmark. So let's look at where you find these professional standards. So from the CIMSPA website, you can see here where it says education and training. If I hover my cursor over here, you'll see a drop down where it says professional standards. Click into professional standards, you'll see a full page on professional and apprenticeship standards. If you scroll down the page, you'll see where it says professional standards library. Click into that. From here, you can see there are occupational professional standards, population specialism professional standards, environment specialism professional standards, and technical specialism professional standards. So you can see if I click into one of these boxes, full list of occupational professional standards will appear. You can see on the left hand side, if I click the download button here, this will bring up the full PDF version, so the full professional standard. On the right hand side where it says mapping template, if I click download there, it will bring up the Excel mapping template, which is the document you will need in order to map your product to one of the professional standards. Once you click download on one of the professional standards on the CIMSPA website within the professional standards library, this is what you will see. You will see the mapping template, you'll see the guidance page, and on here there is a little bit of information on what is expected within the mapping process. But there are also some links here back to the CIMSPA professional standard library and also the CIMSPA partnership guidance document as well. And there's also some information there on the revision history or some of the changes that have been made to the professional standard mapping document. So if we click into mapping template, this is where we will do a lot of our work. So once you open the mapping template, it is really important to understand how it's all structured before you start to complete anything within this document. So what you'll see in this column here, you'll see the key areas. So these are the overarching areas for some of the topics that are within the professional standard. And then what you'll see here are the topics. These are the different areas that are within the standard. And then to the right of the topics, you will see competency statements. And these are what you're actually mapping against. So when you're completing your mapping, you're not mapping broadly to the topic. You're mapping directly to each individual competency statement. Now, one really important rule here, the only section of the document you should be editing is the partner mapping section. So this is the blue section here. So anything in this white section shouldn't be touched. That is the professional standard. Those areas are fixed. There are also formulas running in the background which calculate your mapping percentage. So it's important that the structure of the document, like I say, isn't changed and all remains the same. So your role here is to clearly complete the mapping section and show where your course meets each competency statement. How do you actually complete the mapping? So for each competency statement, you need to clearly show where it is delivered within your course. This is where signposting becomes really important. You should be referencing key documents such as your education product overview or your scheme of work and clearly identifying where the content sits. For example, this could be a specific module, a section within your education product overview, or a practical activity or an assessment. The key here is that it's clear, specific, and easy to follow. So if I scroll up my page, scroll up the document, you can see a little example from that I completed earlier on. So for participant engagement for that particular topic and for the competencies that sit within that, you can see here I've signposted directly to the education product overview. I've signposted to the module number, the module title, and also the slide numbers within the PowerPoint presentation that I would be submitting alongside the portfolio of evidence that I have for the education product. The assessment method here I've put down as professional discussion. If I were to choose, there are two fairly broad assessment methods here. If I was to choose other or multiple, it would just be expected that I would provide some further information within this column here. However, because I've chosen professional discussion, there isn't any further comments for me to add. I feel like I'm confident in that all the information I've provided is sat within the scheme of work and all the documents that I've submitted for review, i.e. my PowerPoint presentation, access to e-learning, and so on and so forth. So I'm happy with that. It makes it really easy for the moderator. They can go in, they see the information, they go, okay, I know we're explaining the importance of building a positive rapport with participants to inspire engagement. I know where that's going to be within the course. Therefore, moderator cross-references, and then they're able to determine whether that particular competency statement is met or not. So yeah, really easy, really clear, really specific, and like I say, linked to that competency statement as well. So you can see here, I've done that little example there for the knowledge component. So for the knowledge piece within the professional standard. But if you are going to map to a lot of the standard, if you're going to meet the full standard, or if you're going to look at some of the other areas as well, you do need to consider both knowledge and skills. So topics will include both knowledge-based components and skill-based components. So your mapping needs to, may need to reflect that. Knowledge might be demonstrated through theory or understanding, whereas skills should be demonstrated through practical activity or applied tasks. It's also important that your mapping aligns with your supporting documentation, like I've done here in referencing the slide numbers. And everything you reference in your mapping should be visible and clearly evidenced within your submitted documents. Like I say, the goal is to make it as easy as possible for the industry expert assigned moderator to follow your mapping and review it efficiently and effectively. If they have to search for evidence or make assumptions, your mapping isn't clear enough. Now, if we look at some of the common mistakes, talk about some of the common mistakes that we see in a lot of CIMSPA endorsed submissions. So mapping to topics instead of competency statements, vague statements like covered in course or C course manual or C scheme of work, a lack of clear evidencing or signposting, so similar to my previous point, not evidencing practical or skill-based components within those skill competency statements, only partially completing a topic, so that is a common mistake that we do see, and then also undermapping where there are clear opportunities to align further. So like I said before, the minimum requirement for CPD products is that you just meet that one topic area. However, if the moderator does identify other areas for you to for that the product could map to, then that will be an action. So we always encourage you to map to as much of the course, as much of the professional standard as you possibly can. And like I say, at the end of the day, mapping just simply needs to be clear, specific, and evidence-based. Just to close, if your mapping is clear, structured, and fully evidenced, you significantly increase your chances of achieving endorsement first time round. Before submitting, just take the time to review your mapping and ask yourself, is it clear? Is it specific? Is it easy to follow? If the answer is yes to all three, you're in a strong position. I hope this video has been helpful. Thank you very much for watching. Speak soon.